Hey, Rob, we're going to have a quick chat about your job and the path you took to get here. So, if you could kick things off by just telling us what your current job title is and what does that actually mean?
Yeah, cool. I am Chief Engagement Officer at Study Work Grow. So basically, it means that I handle sales and marketing for our enterprise. So dealing with schools, outside industry stakeholders, overseeing how our marketing's done, and generally kind of getting the word out there.
How is that different to what most people think you actually do?
Uh, well, I guess if people look at my LinkedIn, they think that I pack envelopes or catch planes to really cool places and do these sorts of things. There's a lot of background stuff that people don't see. So I look after a lot of the financials as well. So just dealing with accountants and zero, chasing up invoices, sorting out school issues, doing Zooms. Basically, I do a lot of background stuff that doesn't really kind of get seen publicly, but it's quite a broad role in that context. It's not just sitting down and working out what the next Instagram post is going to be or what our branding looks like. It's a lot more to it than that.
So, you've done the Caddy Career Cluster quiz. Can you tell me just really quickly what your clusters are and if you think they resonate with what you do?
Yeah, I am very much a linker. If I could show you the back of my laptop, it's got a little torch icon on there for linkers. So normally I'm the one who's in front of the camera with our customers all the time and on the phone. Very much a linker and also an informer. So it means I share my knowledge and that sort of thing. So they're the two biggest clusters for me. Third biggest cluster is maker, and that's why I fix stuff around the house and around the office and that sort of thing. So, but well and truly a linker, and I've always been that way in my career, pretty much.
Okay, I want to know about your career story. So, tell me how you got here.
Oh, how big a cup of tea have you got? I have done, to give you some random ideas, I've worked in everything from potato farm to a chicken factory to a bakery, a commercial bakery, right through to selling submarine cable capacity, selling data center capacity, sold dial-up connections. It's been quite a broad career, but all in all, like I initially studied civil engineering at university, and started my third year, I realized this was not for me. What am I doing here? I had a friend of mine offer to get me into a sales role doing IT sales in 1999, selling dial-up connections to business in my year off from university, which ended up being 27 years long. And in that year, I sold dial-up to businesses all over Brisbane and loved it and spent 15 years in IT sales. And during that time, yeah, I went from selling dial-up modem connections, if people remember what they were, right through to international submarine cable capacity, seeing clients in Europe and the US and Asia. I left that role in Brisbane, moved up to Cairns, where I've been for the last 10 years. For 7 years, I was a sales copywriter. So I used to work remotely writing sales copy for digital marketing agencies and individual clients. And then, of course, Study Work Grow, the opportunity came up here for me to come and shine a light in this place and do some wonderful things and help us grow. So, and here I am today.
It's really interesting to hear that linker thread come through. You might have started out as a bit of a maker, but then you moved quite quickly into those linker roles and felt like that's what that sort of thread has been pulling through your whole career. I wondered if you talk really quickly about those pivot points, the times when like when you said your friend called up and said, "Hey, I've got this other opportunity." What was that like going through those moments? Because we often talk within career development about how often it's unexpected decisions or it's unexpected little moments that change the course of our careers.
Yeah, I've actually had a couple sliding door moments like that, if you want to call it that. That first one was, yeah, the offer to come and sell dial-up internet for the year. That that put me into IT sales and showed me what was possible there. The other big one that was actually even more pivotal was I've noticed that, like in my across my sales career over 20 years now, there's been just a handful of times where I've just had enough and needed to just completely step away from any sort of linker type role and fall into like a maker type role, a very hands-on role, where there's low stress, low pressure, just turn up, do what you got to do, and then go home. One of those times I was working on our family farm in between some IT sales roles, and a friend of mine called me. I remember standing in a paddock in the rain, picking weeds out of a paddock by myself. And a friend of mine called and said, "Hey, what are you up to?" I'm like, "Not much." Didn't tell him I was in a paddock picking out weeds. And he said, "Look, I'm leaving my IT role, and I really need someone to come over and take over this IT sales role, selling optic fiber. Can you come and do an interview? I'll put in a good word for you with the boss." And I did, got that job, and that was the most incredible next 8 years of my life, where I went from kicking weeds in a paddock to with clients at the top of the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. And selling a submarine cable capacity of all things, working in two different startups, it was an incredible ride. So sometimes those sliding door moments come, and you might not see them at the time for what they are, but like sometimes you actually just got to go with them and just trust it and throw stuff out there and see what happens. And more often than not, good things will come from it.
That's such a good view to take on things. If we could talk for a minute about what work is like for you now, thinking very much in what your current day to day role is, could you just talk us through what a normal day looks like for you? Talk about where you work, who you work with, the kinds of decisions you get to make or not make, and yeah, those kinds of basics about your day.
A week can be a bit mixed and varied, being in sales and marketing, but then also having some other roles within a company, looking after finances. Being a small organization, there's a few other tasks you just have to do because there's no one else to do them with a team of four. So in the middle of my week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, is usually FaceTime with customers on Zooms in Australia, New Zealand, UK primarily. So doing demos, that sort of thing. Mondays are often planning. Same with Fridays as well. We do a bit of planning, financials and that sort of thing I'll look through as well. But then I find myself sometimes, like yesterday afternoon, I was packing Ponder packs, new welcome packs to send out to our brand new top tier customer. A bit of a mix of everything there. People I work with, Sophie on our team who does our research, sits just over there, but back behind my shoulder there. Helping with her, working out what sort of things we're going to put in our content. But then also working with Liz, who is on our sales team and looks after a lot of our customer engagement. Kind of once they've come on board, all the admin stuff that she does a magical job of, helping her with solving challenges and that sort of thing. And then also, of course, looking at management type stuff that we need to do as well, like our forward planning and the big blurred out whiteboard up there, like all the future plans and that sort of thing. We've got strategizing what the next 6, 12 months kind of looks like. Not a traditional marketing manager type role. It's marketing manager plus 15 other things.
Lots of hats to wear.
Yep, exactly.
Hours wise, do you feel like you work normal hours?
Normal-ish. And I say
Okay.
ish only because it's not unusual for me to be doing a couple hours on a Friday night or to be getting up at 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning and doing 3 or 4 hours in the office. My Monday morning normally starts at about 6 a.m. in front of my computer doing the Monday newsletter for everyone for, 30 odd thousand people around Australia. But then it's a bit of a mix. If I had to put a number on it, probably 45, 50 hours.
And you're okay with how much you work and the stress level and the pressure and all those things like yeah.
Yeah, I thrive on that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also know from past
That's
experience
fine.
not to push that too far. So
Okay.
yeah, to keep it in check. If I need to close my laptop lid, I'll just close my laptop lid.
I wondered if you'd talk about a normal day in the life, and I know you shared a little bit about what that's, but would you talk about what a non-normal day looks like? What are some of the really cool or unusual things you've gotten to do in your role?
Ooh, okay. Two things I can think of straight away. One, packing Ponder packs on a weekend. Back on, we used to send send them out 4 times a year to like 300 schools. That was yeah. I've sat for nearly an entire day at a table pulling tape off a tape dispenser and taping boxes before. That's one example. Like I've presented in Melbourne, I've been invited to fly down and speak with 85 careers advisors at a top private school in a huge like function room and have the entire floor for an hour and then them not wanting me to stop at the end of the presentation. So that's there's doing the hard yards, the lowly jobs, and then there's doing the big stuff. And it's a bit of a mix of everything. Like there's no 2 weeks that are the same here, and I basically take everything on with a smile on my face, basically.
How has your work reality changed over the years? So how is what you're doing now different to what you were doing, say, 5, 10, 15 years ago?
Ooh, 10 or 11, 12 years ago, before I moved to Cairns, so I had to get my numbers right here. I was very much suit and tie corporate sales role, high pressure, a lot of hours, very big pay, but a lot of stress and pressure. And I thought that was going to be how my professional career was going to be, basically. Keeping up with the Joneses, that sort of thing. And when I pulled the pin on that, 11 odd years ago and moved to Cairns and went, I don't have a job and I'm going to figure it out when I get up to Cairns and just do something completely different. When 5, 6 weeks later, when I scored the role that I got doing contract sales copywriting, I made a great wage. I worked from home. I could. My kids were little at the time, so I could take them to daycare and to school, and always be there to pick them up in the afternoon. Be there waiting at the gate for them. That's something I could never have done in Brisbane. Like never. That was not an option. And that changed. I guess that just gave me a shift change in my mindset for what was actually important in life. And for that period of time, that was the most important thing in my career was to be available for my kids. Now that they're teenagers, they don't want to hang out with us anymore. Like they want to do their own thing. So that's great. It's fine. I'm here when you need me. So these days, my career is very much just about building our enterprise, and that requires random hours, random tasks, a lot of energy, a lot of focus, and yeah, keeping things moving forward a little bit each day, moving forward.
Mm.
You kind of compare that to where I was 12 years ago, though, it's vastly different. Like I wear a t-shirt every day these days. So some days I don't wear shoes. I could not do that 12 years ago. It was suit, tie, coat, polished shoes, and non-stop schedule all day long. So yeah.
I can see how that's a bit of a difference. It's interesting as well. I like how you talked about different things being important at different times in your life and having some sort of ability to control the kind of work you did and the type of hours that you did and the sort of things that were your priority at that time. I think
Mhm.
that's really nice to hear
Yeah.
as well. Okay, so wrapping up, I've got two questions left. The first is, where do you think you might go next?
Next. Is there a next? I don't know what the future holds. I've definitely got a few hopes and dreams I'd like to see fulfilled. And some of those hopes and dreams require money and capital to go and do other, other exciting things. Right now, I can't see future that's outside of building what we're building right now. It's really, really cool. We're growing, we're making impact, having a lot of happy customers, and hundreds of thousands of students that will never get to meet them, or most likely never get to meet them, who we've made a positive impact on, but they don't know who we are. Like, but that's cool. I'm good with that. So yeah, right now that's where I'm at. That's what I'm aiming for.
That's good to hear. And the last question is, if there was one thing you could have known when you were 15 years old, one piece of information or advice that you could have had at 15 years old that you didn't have, what would that be?
When I was 18, I think it was, I read The Magic of Thinking Big, and that opened my mind. But I still had a lot of fears in me that had me do some big things, but not like go all out. I always had this thing that I needed some sort of permission or validation or the right moment, right time to go do stuff. If I had to go and have a conversation with my 15-year-old self now at 46, a few more years of life experience, I would say just feel the fear and do it anyway. And do not think small, like go large, because if you've got the capability, then there is no one there to say you can't do it. And you don't need anyone's permission to say yes either. So just go and do it and make it happen. Yeah, that would be the advice I would have my 15-year-old self if I could do it.
That's great advice. And look, thank you so much for this conversation. It's really great to hear about a job that is a little bit different from the normal, but thank you for sharing your insights.
My pleasure, Lucy. It was good to have a chat. Really cool to uncover some stuff I haven't thought about for a long time. So thank you.